to the mail call over here. Mail call. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have a mail call. I don't know what the heck is wrong with my camera. Is that what's wrong with my camera? No, I don't know if that's what's wrong with my camera or not. Dude, I wanna be seen, bro. Can you make me seen? Oh, snaps. Look at me. I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of my screen, guys. Woo! I don't know where the hell my chatbot is. I love you still. Anyways, you give me a hug and a kiss when I get done. I'm not going anywhere. I promise you. I promise you. No, for real, for real. What's up, guys? Sparkzalot here. What's up on my mail call screen, man? I don't know what's going on with this. I see the parental advisory is up there. My stream box is up there. My alert box. Chat box I don't need. Brio. We gotta have a donation scrolling across the bottom of the screen, man. All our previous donors, we gotta give them shout outs. That's what'll roll across the bottom of the screen whenever it comes on. Is it gonna come on? Does it not want to come on? It doesn't want to come on. Is it not working? Is it not? I don't know what's going on over here. Oh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Boom. All right. There goes the mail call. Ting, ting. Turn this off for 2 seconds so you guys will see it's a mail call. And as you can see across the bottom of the screen, all our donors. Shout out to Farrahcast Love, blessing the channel with $33. Scar and the gentlewoman you are. Who else is that? Denise. What's going on with my computer? I don't even know. Anyways, this is a mail call. And it was 4:20 like 2 seconds ago. So what I think I'm gonna do is spark up this doobie. Ooh, it came out of nowhere. It was just like bam! It was right there. Anyways. Let's fire this up. Hope everybody's having a wonderful weekend or had a wonderful weekend. I guess it's Sunday. So tomorrow's Monday. Yeah. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. If you didn't, I'm sorry. My weekend was super bland. I was working all weekend, making some money, I guess. I guess it's positive on a positive note. But, yeah. School's gonna get ready to let out soon. I don't even know why I said that. I just kind of digressed. But cheers, guys. Cheers. Smoking the last of my double OG guaberry, no, OG guaberries. F2s. Well, not the last. This is OG guaberries A, phenotype A. I got a phenotype B that I got a little bit left of, but I love it. It's so yummy. It's berry-rific. I should have named it berry-rific instead of OG guaberries, but it is what it is, bro. It is what it is. Is that Jacob Downey in the chat room? Jacob Downey. Let me see who else I see in there. Is that Mr. J-Rock? I only see symbols right now, icons. I can't see the actual chat. Okay, close that. Streamlabs chatbot. Can you connect to my chatbot already? Like, dang, I've been recording for 4 minutes. And my Streamlabs chatbot is just now opening up. It's taking its sweet ass time. Excuse my French. Oui. Are you gonna hook up to the darn thing or what? Are you lost? Why does it say stream offline? Dude, wake up, bro. Please place your thumbs in the upright position. I don't even know what that means. Who all was in here? What? I don't know who that is, but their picture looks like my secret garden picture. That's not the oh, that is the secret garden. That's crazy. I can see like half the chat box, the YouTube chat box, and it's only showing me like the icons and whatnot. So I saw my secret garden icon, and I'm like, hey, who's in the chat room? My icon. Anyways, whatever. Queen Di, the lady of the hour. What's up, mama? I'm smoking this joint for you, Queen. And I got your package back there. It's all shiny and shit. Look at this shit, guys. It's like it came from outer space. I don't know what's in it. I ain't even cracked it open. I was gonna crack it open this morning because I wasn't really expecting any mail. I was like, wait a minute. I got an email from the post office saying, hey, you got something in your box, bro. And I was like, what? So I flew over there before work. Actually, I drove. And yeah, I saw this very, very shiny package in my P.O. box. So shout out to Queen Dai. Junji, what's up, player? Oh, my speakers is off. Maybe that's why Jacob's all jacked up on Mountain Dew thing didn't come on when he came in here. Either that or my Streamlabs was taking forever. I don't even know. My chat bot, I really need to reorganize stuff on my computer. I think my computer is starting to get stressed out. It's like, dude, you got stuff everywhere, all over the place. I don't know what I'm looking for. You keep moving stuff and all this other stuff and other stuff and other stuff. Streamlabs. Let me get over here to Streamlabs. See if we got any new subscribers within the past couple of days or since the last time I did a live. Big Ed in the building. What up, man? That is the founding father of the Little Pipe Gang. Shout out to the Little Pipe Gang. Little Pipe Gang. What's up, Ed? It's good to see you, man. Oh, Ed, why you here, bro? Do you have any number 7s or 8s? And if you don't, I need to get you some because, yeah, man. Team TSG. Big Ed is a certified member of the Secret Garden, Team TSG. He's very informational. I like that, man. I love Big Ed. I love you, Big Ed. Go fish. We got a 3. Oh my gosh. My boss tried to scam me out of $1 today because he saw me with no seatbelt on my forklift. He was like, hey, give me $1. You ain't got your seatbelt on. I'm like, you got change for a 50? I'm just playing. I don't even carry cash on me like that. I asked him if he had a debit card reader or he can put it on my tab. And then I told him, bro, I just took my seatbelt off when I came through the freight door, I promise. It was on while I was out in the real world, but when I pulled into the warehouse, I took it off. Don't get mad at me, bro. Don't even get mad at me, bro. Dun, 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 dun. It's Farrah. Oh, you know what? Somebody sent me a soundbite to add so when they come in here. Who in the heck was that? I need to go check my emails. Go check my emails. Anyways, I hope you guys are getting medicated out there with your boy, OG Guapberries, F2. I highly doubt I'm going to be able to finish this. I do think this is the 22 gemstone powder OG Guapberries, but I low-key forgot to fucking label these things. So, yes. I know Jacob's probably mad at me. He was talking about me the other day. He was like, yeah, I sent my stuff out to a whole bunch of people and not everybody was the best. I'm just playing. I know you, well, I don't know if you was talking about me or not, but I kind of fit in the category of people he was talking about. He was like, dude, I got this wonderful product and I was sending it out to everybody, but some of the people I sent it out to, I don't think I should have sent it out to because they're just, I don't know. I get it. But I still have a bottle left, and I am still going to be doing a grow off for you, Jacob. I just need to get it planned. I need to plan it out in my schedule properly. I've been wanting to do a grow off for a while before I actually got your product, and now I'm doing the Miracle Grow and Fox Farm and Dr. Q's grow off, trying to see which soil is better. But as soon as I'm done with that grow off, I promise you, bro, I'm going to slap 2 clones in the tent, use the 22 GP, and I'm going to record my findings for you, sir. I'm sure you have plenty of information up to this point, but I'm going to add my 2 cents in. I do feel bad because I've had it for a while, though, and I'm like, bro, I should have been done did this. I just had other stuff planned in the garden at the time. I'm sorry, Jacob. I still love you, man. I hope you still love me too, bro. Because if you don't, I'm going to cry a tear. It's going to be on the inside. Nobody's going to see it because big girls don't cry. Big girls, they don't cry. I'm just playing. I'm not a girl. Real men don't cry. I'm just playing. Everybody cries. I think this OG Guapberry turns me into Chatty Cathy. Anyways, that's not what y'all came here for. I asked Big Ed earlier something, and I don't even remember getting an answer because I wasn't looking in the chat. It's fucked up. Big Ed, did you answer my question, sir? Do you have 7s and 8s? Big Ed, Twisted Roots in the building. Queen Die. Big Ed, Queen Die. Little Pipe Game. Jacob Downey. Farrah. Did I say Farrah already? Farrah. Mr. J Rock. I got that package Friday, like you said. Another one. It's another one. Who just came in here? Another one. Is that Pork Chop? No, whose thing is that? Is that Pork Chop? Yes, that is. Pork Chop coming here sounding like DJ Khaled and shit. Another one. Smack a pork chop fried rice. AKA the number 2 on the Chinese value menu. What up, man? I had to put that joint out because I'm starting to sweat and I don't even feel like sweating. Today is you're not supposed to sweat on Sundays, man. Sunday is a no sweat day. You're not supposed to. It's actually Saturday. You're not supposed to sweat because Saturday is the Sabbath. If you think about the name, Sat, it means that's the day God sat his ass down because he completed his work. Sunday, when he said, let there be light, what creates our light? The sun. Sunday, first day of the week. Why do we go to church on Sunday? I have no fucking clue. Anyways, I digress again. Let's open this package up, guys. Big Ed, what up, D Boone? Hagerstown, 420 in the building. Big Chew. Big Chew is in the building. Not Lil Chew, but Big Chew. It should be Big League Chew. You remember that shit? That stringy bubble gum you used to eat when you was a kid? Well, not eat, but chew on. Some of us might have ate it because some people like eating chewing gum. I don't know why. They just do. Happy guy, bad boy. Oh, I wish I had 2 cans of milk right now. I'd be like, bad boys, come out and play. Let me stop playing. Anyways, I wanted to show you guys my Mr. Sparkzalot shirt. Yes, I have my face on my chest and my stomach and my abdomen and my ribs. Ew, doesn't he look so sick? Let me put a pinky in his mouth. Hey, I'm just playing. But yes, if you guys want a shirt like this, you can check out my Streamlabs page. There's merchandise and shit on there, towels and pillows, and there might even be a picture you can throw on your wall. I don't even know. Go over there and check it out. Streamlabs / Mr. Sparkzalot, some shit like that. I don't know, I forget. YouTube administrator, experience dating far back to 1937. I don't even know what that means. If I missed anybody in the chat room, it's because you ain't been talking enough. Is Big Ed still in here? I really need to pay attention to Big Ed. What is I smoking? I was smoking some OG Guapberry F2. And I believe it was the 22 gemstone powder edition, meaning I grew it with the 22 gemstone powder. And I've only smoked half the joint, and I'm like, maybe it's the crystals and the whatever gemstone powders. Maybe they're engulfing my body with happiness and positive vibrations and shit. I don't know, but I had to put that shit out because I had to put it out. Shogun. Did Big Ed come in and leave? I might just have to hit him up on Hangouts and be like, hey, yo, bruh, I need a Sparkzalot shirt to wear at the beach. Right near the beach. Lord have mercy. Let me see. Is that my Streamlabs? I don't even know. Boom. Yeah, if you want to get a Sparkzalot shirt, man, you can check out that link right there. It shows you all my merch. Well, some of my merch. It doesn't show you my souvenirs. But yeah. Anyways, I think it's time to open up this package right here. This outer space. It's from outer space, man. Queen Di sent it, man. I don't even know. You all take link. What the hell is link, man? Me don't know what you're talking about, man. Hashtag balls. You hear what I hear, right? What did I? Oh, you want a bikini? Hey, you can throw the two-piece on, man. Wait a minute, time out. No, no, no. No guys in the bikinis, bro. Because that bikini has my face in a very unique area. And I don't want my face being on the area of that dude. No. No, Jacob. No. Don't do it, guy. Don't do it. You know what? For shits and giggles, bro, Jacob, if you get a two-piece and take a picture in it and post it on Instagram and tag me, I will send you a 10-pack of every strain that I've created in the Secret Garden up until now, and I will guarantee you a 10-pack of any other strain that comes out of the Secret Garden, as long as either one of us is alive. Okay, bro? That's the strange clouds is in the building. Is that partly cloudy? I can't see because it's cloudy in this mother. I don't know. Is that partly? That's partly. Wagwan King. And I see Nate Germ in the building. Nate Germ is forever in my debt because I saved his life. And I'm never going to let him forget about it. Never. But I'm never going to call him my dad either. I'm just going to be like, bro, you owe me one. We're going to be 99 sitting on the porch smoking fat ass doobies. And I'm going to be like, you remember the time I saved your life, dude? Nate's probably over there, man. Like, when is he going to let this shit go, bro? I don't even know. How many of you guys want me to open up this package from Queen Di? Because she's amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Wait, boss. If you guys want me to open up the package, type open up the package in the chat room. If you want me to wait, then I'll wait. Fuck, how do you spell heist, guys? Is it Heist? That shit looks right. I don't even know. 10,000. Is that 10K? 10K. Partly cloudy. Pork chop. And me and Farrah finna fight. Because I'm always beating her up in the chat. Catch one. See, it was so fast. All you saw was like the ghost, the shadow. Ah! I wasn't ready. Time out. I hit my elbow on my desk. That shit hurt, yo. Oh my gosh. I've been beating myself up lately, man, at work. I hit my shin on a base plate the other day. It was messed up. This lady was telling me something. I forgot what the hell she was telling me, but I was looking at her while she was talking to me. I hardly ever pay attention to folks while they're talking. I just like to listen and keep on with my job and shit. But for some reason, I stopped and paid her some attention. But I kept walking, and I hit a base plate on my shin. It scratched about an inch of skin off. Not like an inch deep, but like an inch. Like a just layer skin just clean off. I started leaking. I'm like, oh no. And I had to walk to the Band-Aid station. Band-Aids. They're my best friend. My best friend. The cannabis connoisseurs. Rub it. Disperse the pain. Put some tussin on it. Send me some tussin, dog. And I'll put some tussin on it, alright? The minute you send me some let's get in this pack. Didn't nobody say, right? Wait, let me go back up here and see if anybody wrote open the package. Everybody laughing at me. Look, I'm the only one. See, I whooped the butt. Let me give Farrah some money because I've been taking her money left and right. Well, I done robbed her for about $2 million within the last couple fights. Just been binging her. Bing, bing, bing. Okay, I points add plus viewers. Plus viewers. 21 people in here, 21, and then add a 0, and then add 1, 2, 3 more zeros. Oh, fuck it, let's add 1 more 0. So everybody that's in here as of now just became a millionaire in my chat room. I think so. I think so. But since I've taken... Wait a minute. Did I not do that shit right? I think I did that shit right. I points. Add plus viewers. Did I write something wrong? Oh, I didn't put I points. Fudge! I put something else. I points. Damn it. I can't spell today. Points. Ponies? Not ponies! I points. Add plus viewers. That means everybody watching, all the viewers, $2.1 million. Right? 1, 2, 3. Or is that 210,000? I think that's 2.1 million. Since I've robbed Farrah from her well, I pretty much taken her 2 million credits. I'm gonna give her 2 million credits back. But all y'all get 2 million credits as well. And I'm gonna give her 100,000 interest just on GP, just cause she's gangsta. Now everybody's in the millionaire club. 3rd generation watchmaker. I don't even know what that means. Are you a member of the Breitling family? Rolex? What do you do? Man, when I rolled that joint earlier, like my lip swelled up. My lip, like right here, is swollen, like a little bump. It was a piece of weed got like in my lip, and now it's swollen. I really think I'm allergic to cannabis, guys. I swear. Like the outside of my body is allergic to cannabis. The inside of my body is just fine with it. It loves it. But the outside of my body is like, no, dude, get that shit away from me. I don't understand it. Does anybody else have those weird stuffs? Like, okay, when I get in the flower tent, if I brush up against a nug or a bud or whatever, when I pull my hand, it doesn't even have to be in the flower tent, to be honest with you, because it happens in the veg tent too. If my skin touches cannabis, it just goes crazy. Starts bumping up and shit. The bumps go away in like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. Unless I rub the shit out of them or scratch them. Oh, snaps. My sticker's gone. I just realized that. And it looks weird as hell because now it shows you how black this hat was when I bought it and how black it is now. Uh-oh, I guess I'm going to have to retire this hat to the hat junkyard or the hat museum and pull out a fresh one. Anyways, guys. Hi Wally in the building. What's up, Hi Wally? Man, you just missed it, bro. It was a 2.1 million credit giveaway. I think you missed it, guy. I don't know what happened, bro. Now there's 25 people in here. See, if I would have waited until now, you guys would have all got 2.5 million credits. But those 4 stragglers came in here. They were kind of late. I was trying to open Streamlabs up over here for some odd reason, and I forgot to. I don't even know why. Anyways. I'm still trying to get in touch with Big Ed. Big Ed ain't said nothing to me, and I'm like, Big Ed, bro. I just want to know if you got the 7s and 8s. You know what I need to start doing? Is every time I make a strain, I just need to send it to the squad automatically. That way I know everybody's got it. That way I know everybody's got it. So, if you're in the Secret Garden, if you are a Team TSG member, and you do not have the 7s or the 8s, please email me, DM me, text me, whatever, and I will get those out to you pretty soon. Log in with the YouTube Streamlabs. They did something. $400 million paid out to live streamers. Whatever you still stole from me, Mr. Sparkzalot, are you that far behind in the chat? Like I was talking about that like 15 minutes ago. Wow. Maybe you need to hit the refresh button. Refresh. Yo, Nate Jarm, Jacob, Smack a poker chop. Shout out to all the people out there that's listening in the background, not necessarily typing. I used to call you guys lurkers, but I don't even want to put a name on it. I just appreciate you guys being there. I appreciate it. Anyways, before I open up this package, I wanted to say something that I forgot who it was. I was in somebody's room the other day. Matter of fact, I was in Paolo Perk's room the other day. He was doing a live. I had some garden work to do. I sat in there for a couple minutes, and then I told people, hey, I'm finna go to the garden. I'm still watching, but I'm not in the chat room. So I leave, and I ain't gone 2 minutes. And somebody comes in the chat room. I forgot what the hell their name was. Piglet or some, no, not Piglet. What the hell was their name? Oh, it's like a cartoon character or some shit. Anyways, somebody comes in the chat room like on some trolling shit. And it wasn't even like 2 minutes after that. Somebody was like, I bet that's Sparkzalot. Sparkzalot does not troll, baby. I got 5 channels as it is already. Keeping up with them is hard enough. I'm not going to open up another page and come and talk crazy in your room. If I want to talk crazy to you, I talk to you in my own screen name. I'm not going to make up a shit talking screen name. That don't make no sense. Who does that? I know there's trolls out there, but it ain't me, babe. It certainly ain't me, babe. I'm not a troll, okay? I don't do that shit. So, to all you guys that accuse me of being a troll, I forgive you. That's all I'm gonna say. Just playing. Be in this package, man. Let me get to this package. Nor some bong and a bong. Oh, I was leaving work today. And I'm walking to the parking lot, walking to my car, and one of the little homies pull up on me. And every time I see this dude, like, he's always on the forklift. Or not always. He does some everything, like I do at work. But within the past, like, month or so, I've seen him on his forklift, and he's always on his phone. And I'm like, dude, if you don't stop texting and driving or talking and driving. And the first time I did it, like, he knows I'm not really a boss at work. Like, we all kind of had the same position, but the first time I told him, it was like, oh, okay, I shouldn't be doing that. And then, like, every time I catch him now, he's just like, he's like a puppy dog, a lost puppy dog. He's like, oh, you called me. I'm like, yeah, man. When you hurt somebody and I can't see you no more because you're not at work because you done hit somebody or bumped into a booth or some shit, or ran through a gas line with your fork tines, then what you gonna do? You're gonna be remembering that Sparkzalot said, no texting while driving. You're gonna be like, man, I should have just listened to the guy, and I don't even know what. Boss hog. You guys just keep playing boss. Ain't nobody even listening to me. Y'all just playing games in the damn chat room. That's all y'all do. Playing games in the chat room. Anyways, let me open up this package. Queen Dive. She got this outer space package. I don't even know where they get this at. This is like the original NASA bag right here. I think it's like some MREs in here, some meals ready to eat. Wait a minute. I was gonna say, I hope this didn't get tampered with. Did this get tampered with by the mailbox people? Oh no, that's just the way it is. Okay, I see. Pretty woman walking down the street, pretty woman. The type I like to meet, pretty woman. Flashback MREs. That's what I thought of, like that dried out ass ice cream they give you when you go to the what's that? How many people here has been to the Space Museum in Huntsville? Is it Huntsville, Alabama? I think that's where it's at. The Space Museum. They give you that dried out ass ice cream. It activates with your saliva and shit. Like, oh shit, it's ice cream in my mouth, but it was dry a minute ago. Now it's moist. It's not really cold. It's just moist. Huntsville. Yes, Huntsville, Alabama. We did a field trip when I was young to Huntsville, Alabama, to go to the space station. You need something, dog. You don't know. Okay. Well, you don't know. I don't know. Not of mine, baby. But that sitting over daddy's shoulder shit is creepy. I done told you about it. I don't mind you being in here, but
Dad, is this your journal you were looking for?
yeah, I found it and I've written in it since then, but thank you. Oh, 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 I don't even know what. Oh, shit. What's in here? I don't know what's in here. I don't know. Okay, first off, there's a shirt in here. What? I don't wear a lot of red. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Y'all already know how I feel about the red. What's this say? Oh shit! I thought this was a bootleg Coca-Cola shirt. I thought it was like camouflage for the package. But I still don't wear a lot of red. And it's a 2XL, girl. I ain't but like 150 soaking wet with some Timberlands on. I ain't that big. I might have to send this to Pork Chop. Cause he like a 2, 3, 4, 5XL. We might have to stitch 2 of these together and then send that to Pork Chop.
That's tough.
I know, right? I love Pork Chop. Pork Chop, so chunky. She sent me a red shirt, y'all. Look at this shit. It's like one of them Hey Kool-Aid shirts. Okay, wait. I'm gonna show you like this. Queen Dye, I love you. I wish you'd ask me, what size shirt do you wear, Mr. Sparkzalot? It's all good though. I'm not complaining. I got a free t-shirt. Look. Okay. This is, where's the back of the shirt at? Okay. The back and my side is right there. Okay, let me stand up and show you. Look at all this extra shirt right here. Just maybe me and my daughter can fit in this motherfucker. I can wear it as a cape. It's Captain Sparkzalot. No, I'm just playing. Let me stop playing for real. This ain't a Coca-Cola shirt. It's not an all red shirt. It is a boom. Look at that big ass bong. I could never wear this anywhere because people would be like, look at that fucking stoner right there. I'm just playing. I wear this shit to church. Like, enjoy cannabis. Thank you, Queen Di. Maybe I'll sleep in this motherfucker because it feel kind of. I forgot you was sitting right there, girl. Just playing. No, for real. That's a badass shirt. Enjoy cannabis with a fat ass bong in there. And the Coca-Cola copyrighted. I'm just playing. Coca-Cola ain't copyright. They goddamn, what you call it? That's a wicked shirt though, man. That is a wicked shirt. Queen Di. You make me feel special. I haven't received any mail in a while. When I do get mail, it's like getting Christmas gifts up underneath the Christmas tree. Which has, I ain't got no Christmas gifts underneath my Christmas tree in forever because I gotta play Santa. Just playing. Oh, I forgot you was there.
I figured that out 3 years ago.
Damn it. Could you, what are you doing?
I don't know. I'm watching your YouTube live.
Well, no, you're not watching my YouTube live.
I'm watching your YouTube live.
You're being you're my, oh my gosh.
Shadow.
You're in my peripheral, and that it bothers me because you're not. Yeah, can you go find something to do? Okay. Study. Miss, I don't know how I'm gonna do on my finals. Go study. Khan Academy, Google Classroom.
More stuff.
Study. You ain't been studying all day. You probably been asleep all day. Do I need to pull the camera footage? Is that what I need to do? Do I need to pull the camera footage?
Dad.
If I look on that camera footage and you've been in your room all day, I know you've been sleeping.
In my room all day? You don't know if I could have been in my room studying all day.
Right.
Reading.
Right.
I know all my stuff, and I'm just
You guys,
scared.
2019, me and my daughter are going to start our own, we're going to do a show together because she'll be 13 and she can officially hop on the interwebs.
This is 2019, Dad.
Oh, fuck. 2020. Y'all be on the lookout. 2020, it's going to be, we're going to call that shit Father and Daughter. That's going to be the name of our channel. It's just going to be Father and Daughter. And we're going to talk about life in the 2020s. The 20th century, 21st century. What fucking century? 21st century? Wait a minute. 19th, 21st century, 20th, whatever fucking century we're in. Let me finish. I don't know what's in this. It's a nice box in my package too. Is this Pandora's box? If I open it, will Pandora hop out of the box? I don't even know. Wheezy effing baby. I'm gonna see what's in this box, guys. I don't know. It says this is 1091-10370 1091-PV4PC. PV4PC. I don't know what that PV for PC. Is this a computer part? It's not a computer part. What is this? Oh, shh. This is a grinder, son. Is it a tree piece? It is a tree piece grinder. And it says Planets of the Vapes on it with a big ass V. Like that movie back in the, well, not movie, it was more a sitcom about them aliens and shit. How many of you guys watched V in the 80s or the 90s, whenever it was out? I think it was out in the late 80s. V. Anyways, it says Planet of the Vapes. It's got a big vape. I mean, a big V. Like a 3-dimensional V. But it's on a flat plane. If you look at it long enough, you're like, wait a minute, is that the back or the bottom or the top? It is a 3-piece. I'm not going to take it out of here because I have a grinder right now. And I'm the type of person, if I have extra stuff, I'll leave it in the package until I need it. Oh, snaps. Are you serious, dude? 22 gemstone powder. Jacob Downey. You fucking scholar and gentleman, you. Don't be sleeping on my t-shirt, man. You better go out in the world and wear it, you know, out in the world. Don't be at home taking baths and in the garden and shit. And you can grind some gemstones in it, get it all nice and warm and whatnot, but I'm just playing. For real, Jacob. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, man. You are now the proud owner of a Mr. Spark. I think that's what you got. Mr. Sparkzalot tea. That's what popped up there. I don't even know. But you took some points off the Hillbilly Hydro Grower. And I'm over here with my subscriber. That's right. That's fucking wicked, man. Boom. You know, I was thinking about getting a new grinder because my raw grinder, for some odd reason, it's a 3-piece, but it just doesn't collect a lot of keef. Like, it doesn't hardly collect any keef. And I paid some good god darn money for this at, where did I buy this at? I bought this at, I can't even think of the name of it, Reef Dispensaries out here in Nevada. Reef Dispensary. I bought this thing. I want to say I spent like 50, 60 bucks on this fucking thing back in the day. Anyways, it does a great job of grinding shit, but my keef tray forever remaineth empty. So I'm just like, dude, I could probably grind herb up in this for like a year and the shit not collect any keef. Keef sweat. Anyways, so right on Queen Di and the grinder of justice, Planet of the Vapes. Queen Di is awesome. Awesome. I'm almost tempted to like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Pagalolo in here. Koga, I'm sorry. Your package is still sitting on my fucking. Koga's probably like, Sparks, where the hell my shit at? Your package is right here, Koga. I ain't forgot about you. I've been busy as hell. Like, I think I've worked every day since you won this giveaway with no days off. And when I work, I don't like to do nothing. Like, I wasn't really going to go live. Had I not had this package in the mail, I wouldn't have went live today. Y'all wouldn't have seen me. But I'm so very happy that everybody's here. Pagalolo Perks in the building. What up, man? Big Daddy. Big Daddy. You Big Daddy. I'm just Daddy. Watch this shit. Hey, Google. What's my name?
Your name is Daddy.
Did you guys hear that shit? I don't even think she up loud enough. Hey, Google. Turn volume to 100%. Hey, Google. What's my name?
Your name is Daddy.
That's right, goddammit, my name is Daddy. So when I wake up in the morning and I say, hey Google, good morning, it says, good morning, Daddy. Shit is hilarious. I don't even know why. When I come home, I'm like, hey Google, I'm home. And it'll say, hey Daddy.
Hi, Daddy. Welcome home.
It'll cut on my light. My light's already on. But then it'll start playing music and shit. Hey Google, stop playing music before you give me a fucking copyright. Ding dong. AZ, y'all don't know nothing about that. Stop playing music. Oh, he's for real too. Sugar is so lovely. Anyways, there's more stuff in this bag, and like Queen got really sent your boy some goodies and shit. I got a grinder, dude. I got a enjoy cannabis shirt, dude. And I don't even know what's in here. There's more stuff in here. Oh my gosh, more stuff. That says specialized formula for what? Huh? Oh, that looks like some cleaning stuff. Okay, so in here there is. Oh shit! Is this a cannabis cookie cutter? You mother sucker, you! I'm gonna use this in some enjoy elevated edibles videos. We got a cannabis cookie cutter, man. Evidently, Queen Di knows that I like to be in the kitchen and shit. Oh, look at that. A cannabis cookie cutter. I was looking at these on Amazon, and they looked weird on Amazon. But now that it's actually in, not to say that this is where this came from, but Tank, look what I got. Somebody sent me a weed cookie cutter. Wait a minute, time out, not weed. Cannabis leaf cookie cutter.
Same difference.
Same difference, yes. Can you go put that in my box in there that's got all my...
Do you want to get a picture frame and hang it up?
No, then I couldn't make no cookies in it. With it. Child.
We treat it that way.
Yeah. Because it's gangster. You don't know nothing about no cannabis leaf cookie cutter. Okay, there's a box in the living room somewhere. The plastic container that's got all my cannabis-related cooking utensils.
Jeez, that's really certified.
It should be in there, out in the open. I mean, it's not rocket science. If I get up and I find it, it's gonna be trouble. Trouble. Let me see. All the boys here want some Big Daddy. Ew. That's nasty. Farrah, what's wrong with you? You want to fight again? Would you like to fight again? I just want to do a free-for-all. Who's down with a free-for-all? I can't breathe. Cheese. Big cheese. Anyway, shout out to Big Daddy, part of Cloudy. Super shout out to Jacob down, man. Let's go back down here and can I refresh this shit? Oh, no new subscribers? No new subscribers? Oh shit, we do have subscribers. I'm looking it up there. That was the donation thing. I can't talk about the donation. So I remember Sir God a lot. We gave a shout out to Sir God a lot, and I remember doing D-Line a shout out, and I remember Pierre Tchaikovsky, Sizzy Chowski. I remember that messed up name that I probably butchered. Your name's not messed up. I'm just playing, but I did butcher that shit because Shizzy Showski. I don't even know how you say that shit. But I'm going to put you on blast one more time. Pierre.
Behave. Yeah. Yeah, baby.
Yeah. Pierre Shizaskowski. Falafel. Yes. Join the family. Let me turn this down because if anybody had headphones on and I fucked the eardrums up right now, I'm sorry. I didn't know how loud my speakers were. We cut it down a little bit. Bryant Meza subscribe to the Fam Bam as well. Bryant. He wants to hit that bong with y'all. He wants y'all to light up till the blaze up, smoke up. If you like your concentrate, get your dab on. Hit that bong, 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 bong. Anyways, is it 20 after that? No, 4 after. 16 minutes. This will probably be gone, but cheers. I also want to let you guys know, this is the public service announcement. Smoking weed does not make you cool, okay? But if you smoke weed, you probably are cool. All right? That's all I'm saying. Think about it. Think about it. Pilgore 420 Space J is in the building. What up, Pilgore? Appreciate you being here. Pimpin'. Anyways, let's get some more shout outs over here. Okie Home Grove 420. Lil John, if you don't get your ass out my face, bruh. Bruh. Ass just all in my face. It's out my face, Lil John. Yeah. All the way from Atlanta, Georgia. Little John, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, let me do a hashtag FFA. Free for all. Oh, yes. You know what, Koga? If I can get my lazy butts around to it today, I will try to print off your postage, pimping, and then I'll try to get your package out tomorrow. But I got to be at work at 6 in the morning. So I don't know. There's a 50% chance it'll get done today. If not, I would. As soon as I get an off day, pimping, I will print out your postage, man. The only person that's got a giveaway package in the last, I don't even know how many days, was Mr. J Rock. And I didn't have to do anything because I purchased his stuff off of online and it got shipped to him. I didn't have to pack up nothing. I didn't have to print off no postage. I just purchased and blam, he got his stuff. Everybody else is waiting on giveaway packages right now. You just gotta bear with me. But yeah, where's my package, bro? It feels what? Wait, it's mr.sparkzalot, bro. It's cool for this. IG. No worries, brethren. What you mean on the? Oh, you want me to fight somebody else? Who you want me to fight? Paper scratcher in the building, scratching paper. Chaotic, where's your package? Man, that shit like 6 years ago, bro. You ain't got it yet, man. I told you gotta look out for a red pigeon, bro. I have a carrier pigeon. I spray painted him red. He should, maybe that's why he ain't got back to me, cause I thought you kidnapped him or something, man. I got my motorcycle license today. Gnarly, bro. Just be careful, man. Motorcycles are cool, but they don't make you cool, all right? But you're probably cool if you got a motorcycle, right? That's all I'm saying. Cheers. So, shit. Excuse me. That hurt. Charlie, that hurt. Oh my gosh. That was like a dry cough that hurt. I mean, I have a helmet. Oh, okay. Everybody that rides bicycles. Oh, I drive a bike. I mean a bicycle. Yeah, everybody that has bikes should wear helmets. Protect your noggin, bro. Protect your noggin. Anyways, let's get back into this Queen Dye package. So far, out of this box, I pulled out a grinder, which means I can grind up my herb. I pulled out a shirt. Queen Dye has clothed me, ladies and gentlemen. She has sent me garments, which I can put on my body. It's amazing. I love it. Shout out to Queen Dye. But wait, there's more. I still got a baggie of stuff right here. Oh shit. It's a funny story. I had to buy a fucking lighter today because my lighter ran out at work. And I had a backup in the car, but my car was super far. 7-Eleven was closer. I could have used this matter of fact, this lighter was in the car too because the package was in the car. I had 2 lighters. And oh my gosh. Anyways, Bics are getting expensive. That shit was $2.50 for a Bic. $2.50 for a Bic? Oh my gosh. Do you know when Bic first came out? Like, who remembers the Bic commercials? This is going to tell you how old these folks are. I've never seen them commercials. I probably did when I was little and I just didn't pay attention. Bic used to claim that one of their lighters would give you at least 1,000 flicks. At least 1,000. Meaning you can light 1,000 doobies, 1,000 joints, 1,000 blunts, 1,000 cigarettes, whatever you want to light, 1,000 times. I don't think I've ever had a Bic light anything that many fucking times. But then again, I've never counted. But where did they come up with that number? And I'm surprised because I don't see them commercials anymore. But all those commercials back in the day used to say you could flick your Bic up to 1,000 times. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Anyways, this is a Hemper lighter. Hemper. Maybe this is some stuff out of Hemper box. I don't know. I don't know what. I mean, I know what Hemper boxes are, but I don't buy like subscription. I don't have any of them box subscriptions stuffs. I think they're pretty cool, but I don't. Yeah, I just go to the damn. I get it. You know, there's not a smoke shop on every corner in small cities and across the U.S., but I'm in Vegas and there's a smoke shop on every other damn corner out here. There's a Habib's or a Jimmy's or a Mr. Lee's or all type of smoke shop everywhere around here. Yes, it says Hemp Protect too. Pipe cleaners. What? I don't clean my bone that often, but I sure really use these mofos when I get ready to do so. I'm gonna have to find a box to put this shit in. Oh my gosh, my eyeball. Clear your eyes. Is it 4:20 yet? 9 minutes away. Damn it. It's coming. I'm trying to make it last. Make it last. But wait a minute. This is like a box. Specially formulated for your daily multi-purpose use. Okay. Hands. Glass. Tools. What is this? Hemper Tech Fresh Wipes. Oh shit. Fresh wipes. So I can like wipe my hands and just smell all fresh. This smells like a freshly cleaned bathroom. You ever go to a truck stop? Wait, how the fuck was I smelling it and it's sealed? That shit's crazy. It's sealed. I was smelling something. Smelled like a freshly cleaned truck stop. I'm glad it's sealed though. That means it's moist. It's still moist inside, guys. It's moist. Anyway, so we got hand wipes, which has a little thing on the side so I can like, I don't know, maybe I'm supposed to attach that to my belt loop or something, or my backpack, and just let it hang there. So if I need to wash me hands, no, not wash me hands. I imagine this says tools. Maybe there's some alcohol in here somewhere. I should read the ingredients. I mean the ingredients. Ingredients. It's so dark in here. I can't read that little bitty writing. I can't read that little bitty writing. This one. Dude, this is like my favorite female weed tuber, bro. And I got a, but what? Now, if these motherfuckers was autographed, that would be the shit, bro. How many people in here know Kimmy Tan? Kimmy Tan, she's so sexy, boy. Anyways, this is a Kimmy Tan edition of some rolling papers, which I probably won't use because if it ain't raw, I ain't buying it. But I do love Kimmy Tan, and I imagine these papers are probably decent. Maybe I'll roll like one of them just to see what they burn like. But Kimmy Tan, if you're watching, girl, hey. I think she got a boyfriend and shit. She might even be married, but she's sexy than a mother. If y'all don't know, Kimmy Tan, look it up on YouTube. Sexy female Asian stoner. Oh my gosh. Tatted up, got dreads and shit. Oh my gosh. Kimmy Tan. Anyways, let me stop being such a dude. Jasmine. I used to be in love with a jasmine. Many moons ago. Jasmine. Why do I have so many ladies on my mind? Anyways, sandalwood, incense. I think I'm gonna burn one of these right now. I think I'm gonna burn jasmine. Not like, that kind of came out wrong. Jasmine, I'm gonna burn you. Wait a minute. No, I'm not, because these are like, I thought it was in a Ziploc bag. It's heated clothes. What do they call that when you heat something closed? Maybe I will. I'm gonna burn some jasmine incense. What? Send me a shirt. Wait a minute. Bought what? I'm lost. I don't even know what that means. How did that happen? Oh my gosh. Jasmine, you smell so sweet. Princess Jasmine. Oh man, I don't have an incense holder here. I do have one. Some fucking storage. I don't have the space for it in here. Anyways, I'm burning jasmine. Queen Di, you are amazing. Did I tell you that already? E.T. No more breathing into that tube to start your car, bro. That's a alcoholic joke for you guys that don't know what he means. You might be an alcoholic if you gotta breathe through a tube to start your vehicle. You're definitely an alcoholic if you ask somebody to breathe into the tube for you to start your car. Definitely an alcoholic. What's wrong with you, man? What? Okay, this is a baggie. It's a hamper baggie. Probably a smelly proof. Not a smelly proof like brand, but an actual smell proof bag. You put your drugs in. You put your cannabis in this. You should have put something in this motherfucker. I can't smell nothing. Like, just playing. Do not risk. Yeah, don't send me nothing like that. I'm just playing. You can. I've received. See, that's what I'm talking about. If it ain't raw, I'm not buying it. Shout out to the raw gang, man. But on another tip, I'm kind of waiting on Burner to do his thing, because Burner was, yeah, I seen a little video Burner got out on YouTube talking about raw. It's like, man, I help y'all come up. Now I'm trying to start my own thing, and you don't even want to help your boy out. And, you know what I mean? He had to go the long way to the, wait, what? Is this a, oh, wait a minute. Oh, look at that, man. There's some souvenirs in here as well. It's crazy. You know those, what are those little Russian doll things that you pull out of each other? You like, you have one and then you pull it out. And then you have another one. Anyways, this is one of those airtight containers. And there was some souvenirs inside the airtight container. Another V-Gang. What's the name of that movie? Planet of the Vapes. Not, that needs to be a movie. Planet of the Vapes. Anyways, Queen died. You fucking rock. I'm so happy inside right now. I'm elated. I feel like jumping up in the air. Like, yee! But this says gold leaf. Feminized. I haven't ran any feminized seeds in my garden up until this point. Well, not to say that I'm going to run these immediately. I have a lineup. Got to kind of work it in the schedule. But we'll see. Maybe we'll pop. It's feminized, so it should be all females, right? So if it's a definite female, then I hope I can work it into the lineup. I just run it into my 8-week schedule. Get it in there. Gold leaf. What does that say in front of that? Berkman's? Berkman's gold leaf. That's what's up, man. Queen Di. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. I wish I could play some music. Hey, you know what? I can't play no music right now. I could, but it'd probably slow my computer down. And until I get, I'm gonna put those back in there. That's fucking nifty. So the airtight container, souvenirs, incense, lighters, hand wipes. Did I say hemp wick? Did I mention hemp wick? Oh my gosh. Raw tips, pipe cleaners, a bag, a baggie for my drugs, my Kimmy tan papers. Oh shit. I'm gonna send her a message and be like, hey mama, you think you can autograph these for me and send them back to me? Be such a sweetheart. Dog, Kimmy tan. My heart's just thumping right now. Grinder, t-shirt. Oh my gosh. I just want to throw it all up in there and let it shower down on me because this is a lot of shit. But I don't want the grinder to hit me in the head. My fuck gonna get knocked out. I don't want these to break. Yeah. And with my luck, if I threw a lighter in there, it'd come back down and light and like burn my fucking eyebrow off or something. I don't even know. But Queen Di, if you guys aren't subscribed to Queen Di, she is in the chat room as we speak. Y'all should get over there, check the channel out. I can't believe my coffee's not gone. I can't believe I'm past up 420. Oh shit! It just hit 421. Damn it! Where's Timekeeper at when you need him? And where the fuck is my lighter at? Yeah. Where's my lighter? Oh, sit right in front of this lighter. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, Queen Di is spectacular. Spectacular! And since I received the package today, I think I'm in the giving mood. We're probably gonna do, we're gonna do a giveaway in the chat room. Giveaway in the chat room. Giveaway in the chat room. I can't write on that. That's my son's insurance papers. My son turned 18 years old. Eight days ago, guys. I have an 18-year-old young man. Can you guys believe that shit? It's crazy. What was I looking for? Oh yes, notepad. Looking for my notepad. Why are you so far, notepad? Queen Di, did I say you're awesome? Everything is awesome. Here goes my gift pad. Not my gift pad. It's not a gift pad, dude. It's ash all on my desk. Rules or results from the heist. What? Tim S ran out the bank with 75 racks. Like, what? Let me get that, son. Woohoo! So, one more time. We're going to add some points to those that are in the chat room. Well, actually, the people. I wish I could just add points to people that are typing in the chat room. But it'd probably take me forever to do that shit. Add points plus viewers.
Oh, there's an incense in here.
I wonder if I put chatters with that,
That
shit
sounds
add.
good.
It smells good. It's called jasmine. You want some?
Please.
I do not want you burning this in your room. You want to burn it? You burn it in the fucking bathroom somewhere, over the sink or over the tub, so the ashes can fall onto some ceramic, okay? Or the sink, whatever the hell that sink's made out of, plastic or whatever. I don't know. I didn't buy it, so yeah. It's called jasmine, like the princess, like the flower. Yasmin, could you stop? Bye. Love you. Okay, it smells good. That don't mean you sit here like, It's just not yoga, meditation, shaman. Let me inhale the incense right now. Look, girl.
Huh.
Go study. Or go take a shower. Or go do something because you got school tomorrow. You being idle. Idle hands. It's the devil's playground. Go do something.
What time do you have to work tomorrow?
6 o'clock. Could you
I
mind
should
your
be at
business?
school at 9.
I don't care.
I was just letting you know, dang. I was just letting you know.
One of these days, Alice, to the mother, boom, to the moon. Anyways, giveaway. Add points, add viewers, 21. Oh, there's 21 people in here again. I guess we're gonna do another 1, 2, 3. See, it was 25 a second ago, and I was trying to do it when it was there, but then people left. So when I saw it again, it's 21. Boom! What up, Rexes? Rexes? Rex? Wait a minute. Rexes? That last one was a doozy. Shit. Whatever. Took it like a champ. Anyways, the 530 natives, Rexes.
Oh, behave. Yeah. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah. The 530 native. Wait a minute. Who is? Wait. I don't even know what the hell just happened. Anyways, let me see what else just happened. Go back up here. I don't know who this was. Can you scroll down, B? Scroll down. There you go. Now, scroll back there. Right there. I gotta do this one more time because I like to double shit around here. So, 22 gemstone powder. Are you gonna refresh? Is it gonna say it again? I don't even know if it's gonna work. You're not gonna do it again, guy? You're not gonna do it again, guy? And I don't even know who. Wait, what? Send me a shirt. Bought mr.sparkzalot basic tee. Wait a minute. TY. Who is TY? I don't even know who that is. Did somebody else buy a shirt a little while ago? Who in the hell? 12 minutes ago. Where was I at? Somebody else bought a shirt? Oh my goodness, that's 2 shirts and 1 show. Hey, I should wear this shirt more often. Just playing. Thank you to the 2 people that bought shirts tonight. That is amazing. I love you guys and gals or whoever made those purchases. I bought it with Nate's credit card. Oh snaps, Nate, you better check your record. Pork Chop one of them, man. Look, Pork Chop is one of them guys. He's one of them guys. Pork Chop's an anonymous. You know what anonymous? You know the group anonymous? Them hacking. Yeah. Yep. He cleaned me out one year. I was mad as hell. I had to get on him. I figured it out though. I was like, dude, this is you. He was like, yep. And I was like, stop fucking playing, bro. Chop. Put my $58 back in my bank account now. Fucking clean me out, son. Just playing. Even Sparkzalot is not listening to Sparkzalot. What the hell does that mean? I'm lost. Did I say I was gonna do something? Oh, my giveaway? Oh, okay. Fair, you can't enter the giveaway anyways. You won something like 6 days ago, bro. 7 days ago. Oh, I got coffee in my eye. I'm so mad. The cops have given up. If you want to get a team together. A team together for what? The heist? Oh. Are you talking about who I want you to fight? Who you want me to fight? I forgot I asked that a long time ago. 1 million. It's crazy. You can't heist 1 million. 10 million. That's too much millions, man. Too much millions. Okay, so for the giveaway. Okay, Farrah, I'm gonna cut my camera off and I'm gonna pay attention in the chat room because I think you're subconsciously, secretly trying to tell me something. And I don't like going back up in the chat room because when I go up in the chat room, I end up missing more shit. So I'm looking at the chat. What are you talking about? Miss Feta. I can't believe we got 2 shirts. 2 shirts. 2 shirts. That's what's up, man. Okay, Farrah. Your Streamlabs merchandise order has been received. I'm so lost. What does that mean? Did you just 2 shirts? 2? Oh. Jacob, you silly, bro. He said 2 shirts. Smack a poker chopper trying to get a team together to rob a bank. What happened? You talking to me, Mr. Sparkzalot? Yes, I'm talking. You said in the chat room that I'm not listening to myself. I don't know what that means. Did I tell myself to do something that I haven't done yet? I'm lost. Heist, $2. I'm still trying to figure out how to spell heist over here. Can I heist 50 cents? I'm just going to heist 420. See how much I get off that. 420. Anyways, giveaway time. I joined the heist. I'm going to start a free for all. You lost too? Okay. You want to fight? You want to fight? I spelled that shit wrong. Now that I'm looking at it, my fingers went the wrong way. Wait a minute, did I? I don't even know if I spelled that right. Duel. That's D-E-U. I put time. I was trying to fight Tim S. Tim S. Is Tim S still in here? Yes, Tim S is still in here. Did I write that right? I don't even know. My fingers aren't working right now, guys. Mr. Sparkzalot has taken off his gloves, smacked Tim S in the face, and challenged him to a duel. I smacked him in the face with my gloves like they used to do back in the day. Like, I challenge you to a duel. Since Farrah says I don't fight anybody else. Want me to fight a guy? I'm fighting Tim. You gotta write my name in there, Tim. Did I start a free-for-all? I did. Am I in the heist? I think I am in the heist. What about a boss battle? Does anybody have a boss battle? I wrote boobs. My fingers are going crazy. Uh-oh. Mopped up the floor with him. Bing, bing, bing. You want some of me too, old man? No, I'm just playing. Tim S probably younger than I am. It's going down. That was very, 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 very crazy. Let me see what else is on here. Peek in me garden? No. Image backdrop. Shout out to Team TSG. We got some TSG shirts on the site as well. Secret Gardens. That's our tree with the roots logo and the land and the lines. It's all simple and basic, but yes, simple yet basic. Just like me, I'm simple yet basic. Not enough people were interested. What? Nobody wants to do the heist? 15 people in the chat room. Nobody wants to do the heist. Anyways, I forgot all about the giveaway. You guys want to do the giveaway? Let's do the giveaway. I need a pen. Feed, fire, food, film. I don't know what I did with my pen. I don't want to write with Sharpie. Where the heck is my pen at, bro? Oh, it's in the dirt. Somewhere. I need to get a pen. Oh! I know I had something to ask you guys. Okay, so, I had one number 7 in the tent left, and it turned out to be a male. So, Orion Canna Company with Galaxy Greens. What's going on, man? Or woman? Or group, squad? What's up? Appreciate you coming through. We're getting ready to do a giveaway here in a second. What is today's date? Today's date is the 19th. So it's 519, 519. Okay, Pen, could you work? We are going to give a 5-pack, which is really a 6-pack because 5 is just the better, 6 is just a better number. Anyways, 5-pack, Secret Garden, strain of your choice. Currently, we have the OG guap berries, the double OG guap berry. Wait a minute. I don't have OG guap berries right now. I do have a few F2s though. A few. So you'll be like, if you choose to get some F2 OG guap berries, you'll be like, yeah. You'll be one of a few that end up getting those because I don't have a bunch of them at the moment. So, anyways, I know I got double OG guap berries. We got F2s. We got number 8s. I got a few number 7s left. What else do we have? What else do we have? What else do we have? I might have some more cookie berries left. Anyways, the winner can get in touch with me. We'll figure out what you want. I'm gonna get it out to you. Shipping is free within the US of A. If you are outside of the states, you need to take care of your shipping. I hate that it's like that. It's just expensive as hell to ship stuff across the borders. Even a 1-ounce package is fucking $10 to get it across. It's crazy. Anyways, yeah. So, what kind of giveaway? Balls up. Danny from Vegas. What's up, man? Fat girl at a buffet? What? I hear you. What was I getting ready to say? Shout out again to the 2 people that picked up some shirts tonight, man. I certainly do. I certainly do appreciate that. The show appreciates it. All the profits from merchandise go towards the show. Right now, we're working on getting a better computer so these streams aren't as laggy and crappy as they are at times. I just want to beef up El Computer so we can get things really popping on the show. I'd like to be able to play. Oh yeah. Rex's people just brought out Nikki and she's twerking on Team TSG. Look at that shit, man. It's crazy. Welcome to the family, Rex. Rex and effects. Check, baby. 1, 2, 3, 4. Check, baby. What is called that? Man, anyways, sorry. I had a flashback for a minute. Good everybody in the chat room, welcome Rex to the Sparksies. Rex, you are now an official Sparksy. Welcome to the family, man. I appreciate you being here. Anybody else that's new to the family, if you're a new subscriber in the chat room or a fairly new subscriber and you want to say hey to everybody or you want everybody to say hey to you, just let folks know that you're new in the chat room, and I promise you they will not pick on you because I put them in timeout. I ain't got no problem putting nobody in timeout. I promise you. I promise you. I put you in the corner. You don't want to be in the corner. Anyways, I'm done with my nasty cigarettes that I don't like you guys seeing me smoke. I hate cigarettes. I'm a new subscriber, bro. That's TMI, Nate. Nate, you're new. Pork chop. Whoa, I was finna tell you something, dude. Anyways, what kind of giveaway y'all want to do? Number generator? Y'all want, y'all want a wheel? I don't know. What kind of giveaway? Should we draw straws? Shout out to, let me see who's in the chat room. Farrah, Queen Di, Rex's people, aka Rex and Effects, Nate Germ, Samaka Pork Chop Fried Rice, aka number 2 on the Chinese value menu. Tim S, Queen Di. Wait, I can't remember if I knew PC 420 or Sparks. Wait a minute. How you gonna capitalize his name, but then lowercase my shit? It's like I can't remember who I met, but yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember what I had on yesterday, let alone yeah. Hi, my name is Todd. Hi, my name is Todd. Who you gonna hug? You gonna hug me? Somebody is not important enough. I know. No, I know. Queen Di's cool. She just sent me a package with a T-shirt and a grinder and a bag to put my grind up herbs in and all types of stuff. Hand wipes. So when I get that loud all over my fingers, I can just wipe that shit off. Put it in the garbage. Poof, be gone. Or no. You know what I'll probably end up using it for? Because it says you can clean your tools. My dabbers like always stay dirty. And the way my e-nail setup is it don't ever get like that stuff. It's not a lot on there, but it gets kind of annoying sometimes. So I just wipe them clean. Anyways, bruh, Adidas. This is Adidas is in lower. Lower. All day I smoke. Wait, all day I dream about smoking. Adidas. I'm just playing with you, Queen. I am just playing with you. You gotta look. You gotta have tough skin when you're in here because we play all day. Okay. If you think somebody picking on you, it probably is, but it's all out of love. And when trolls come in here, we smash on them. So it's like being at the club that you ain't gotta worry about nothing because everybody I got patted down by my securities. 3 of them. I got one big dude, one little dude, and one tall dude. He just tall. So when you try to run away, he'll grab you by the back of your shirt with his go-go gadget arms, and the big dude will sit on you while the little dude will talk to you. Don't come in here with that bullshit no more. I'm just playing. Nate is a troll. Pork chop, you silly. Take one to know one. Shogun. You know what? He's probably waiting on this shit because I think that's who sent me some music. Shogun. Come to think about it. Let me set that up right now. Man, I better not download no virus. Downloading this sound bit over here. Sam always instigating stuff. Y'all didn't even say what type of giveaway y'all want to do. Maybe I should just do a wheel. No, how long I've been on? An hour and 22 minutes. Good Lord, maybe we'll just do a number generator. Oh, let me see. What was I getting ready to do? Oh yeah, check my mail. Mail, Shogun. He wants to be the man with a crutch. That's fucked up. I am a small kind of troll. There's a difference between trolling and being a voyeur. Some people just like to watch. They don't like to talk. But trolls, on the other hand, them folks come in your shit. Maybe y'all trying to bug people and shit. It's not cool, man. It's very not cool. What pictures do I have over here? I'm waiting on my mail to load over here. That's why I ain't got no. Dude, why are you taking so long to load? See, this is why I want to build a computer. Shogun says hi to Orion. Go gadget dab press. That's some funny shit. Man, if y'all not subscribed to Jacob Downey, I swear he reminds me of Ned Flanders, man. If you like Ned Flanders off The Simpsons, Homer's neighbor. Yes, Jacob Downey is Ned Flanders all jacked up on Mountain Dew. That's my man's though. He crazy, boy. Jacob Downey. Y'all go check out his channel if he's still in here in the chat room. Jacob, you still in here? Tell everybody hi, man. I'm pretty sure he's been in the chat room. Dude, my Gmail is still loading over here. We're good trolls. We only troll trolls. Oh, so you're the troll keeper. Control master over here. I don't even know what that means. good trolls. So you guys got wings or something? Like Dale in the building. What up, man? Josh Warrior. Josh Warrior in the building. Ned Flanders, bicycling and noon chucking at the same time. What about riding a skateboard while noon chucking? Noon chucking. Is that how you spell nunchucks for real? Nunchucks. I thought they were numb. Nunchucks. None your business. Whatever. What am I looking for? Oh yeah, Shogun's audio clip. I think it's way. Go down. My computer's being slow right now. Dale's in the building. Farrah's in the building. Jaws Warrior. Come out. Wait, it's not way down there. I thought it was. Let's scroll back up. Noon Chucka. Noon Chucka you. Noon Chaku. That sounds like an African word for something. Our host is still beating me every time I come in here. I don't beat you every time you come in here. You don't have to accept the duel. Don't be acting like that way. Oh, I passed it up. Go back. Down. Go down. Go down, son. Go down. Go down some more. Dang, I ain't checked my email in this long. Oh my gosh, I just saw it. I just seen it. And now it's gone. Okay, Shogun right here. Boom. Let's go look at this email. Unfortunately, Shogun, you've already typed, so it's not gonna work. If you leave and come back. But the next time you come to the show, bro, FFP in the building. I call him that because his name's so freaking long. It's so damn long. Yes, if you have a long name, I will give you a nickname real quick. It's probably going to be your initials. Food Forest Permaculture. What's going on, man? 752 kilobytes. Bro, that is a lot. A lot. This is like a whole demo. What? It's good to see you too, FFP, man. I appreciate you being here. We just up in here chilling. I did a mail call from Queen Di, who's amazing. Oh, see how long this is. 18 seconds. Bro, I can play like half of that. Because 19 seconds is kind of long. But that was Shogun's music right there. Ow, excuse me. I just strained my brain. Did I not download that or what? I just played it. Do I need to download it? Download. That's a lot of darn. Oh, that might have said kilobits. Planting a lot of dank and loving it. I know that's what's up. I shall never back down. He won't fight. Yeah, I'll fight this. Look, come on, dude. You want to fight, son? Oh my gosh. I can't even spell this dude's name. Jaws. Why the hell did I put an 812 there? You don't ever even try to, you in that weird ass hyphen at the end of your name, like, and I still did this shit wrong. Oh, I keep spelling dude wrong. Did I spell it wrong? Bay Area. Boom, 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 boom. Wait a minute, where did I just put that? I just put that shit down on. I need to go back over here. Bro, can you open this up so I can move it? And then I can put it on the thing. On the thing. That was too easy. And when I whip your ass in the chat room, don't get all mad and shit. And if you beat me up, you better not talk about it because you remember what happened last time. I'm taking all the monies. I take everybody's monies. Boom, boom, boom. Why put a space in there, bro? You know I no space going there. How long you been in here, Ja, man? Ja. Where's Ja? Why my phone keep like charging but not charging and charging but not charging? I don't even know what. Mom, you is up. I would have called you. I thought you was sleepy. Mommy. Shout out to my mama. Shout out to my mama. Shout out to everybody's mamas. Mamas. Everybody's mama. Shout out. I don't want you to open and play the song. I just want you. Oh my gosh. I just want you to open like file location so I can move it and stuff. Anyways, yes. Okay, so it's downloaded. Now, I gotta do this now or I will forget. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so sorry. So just give me a second. Please give me a second. Y'all know ain't no space right there, man. You probably spelled my name wrong too, right? Hey, mr.sparkzalot. She probably asleep. I was trying to text her. I needed to find her itineraries. Her itineraries. I know, now I ain't missing the space in my name and everything. Like, talking about, that's why I don't ever do you, because I don't be want to do it 8 times, because you done messed up like 6 million times trying to figure out how to. Look, bruh, you gotta spell my name exactly the way it is. Exactly the way it is. Boom! So, I need to cut this, and I need to put it in here. Paste. Yo, paste a. I probably need to edit it, though. I need to edit it, though. Boom, 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 boom. Come on, man. Why are you taking so long? This computer sometimes. Okay, so this sparks a lot. Gotta put a space in between the period and the S. See, Josh Warrior did not accept the fight because he didn't type the right stuff in it. See, that's why I don't like fighting people with long names. Your name's fairly easy to spell on the typewriter. I mean, on the keyboard. I said typewriter. Damn, I'm old. Your name is fairly easy to spell. It's fast. Josh Warrior. On the other hand, I gotta put that space in there. Oh, snaps. You ready to fight? Let me see if I can spell his name right before, Fuck, I forgot the little hyphen or whatever the hell that thing is. Down, see, I don't even know why you made your name all flicked and shit. Who does that? Puts a space hyphen in it. Is this your second account, bro? I swear your account didn't have that thing in there like that, man. That freaking, oh, let's go over here and press a space and then put a under. That's not an underscore. I don't even know what the hell they call it. But it took him long enough. He was probably amped up. He's like, I finally got the keyboard to work. Josh Warrior, you know I love you, man. But it took you forever. Oh my gosh. Now since you took 50,000, 500,000 from me, I think I'm gonna know if I give everybody 500,000, then you'll get another 5. No, never mind. Off planting, Lady Sparks. FLP, thanks for coming by. I'm probably gonna do this giveaway and get the heck up off here because I've been on here way too darn long. Wipe them real quick. Man, cut that out, bro. You see, he talking crazy. What I tell him I was gonna do if he started talking crazy? Huh? What I tell him? Didn't I tell him I was gonna rob him? Oh, you ready to get robbed, son? Come on, wipe them out. I'm gonna rob you, son. Watch. Look out for it. Look out for it. Look out for it. Look out for it. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Somebody, bro, don't do me like that, bro, don't do me like that, bro. You've been robbed. Just wait, son. I told you if you started talking that yeah, I was gonna rob you. Didn't I tell you that? I'm finna hit him up like, who shot you? Oh, I meant to press. Boom. Yeah, Josh Warrior just got super robbed. Whoa! I probably just hurt somebody's eardrums. Yeah. $95 minutes. Man, don't be here. Look, Farrah called up. I'm finna beat him up. You can't afford to get nobody no hug in the chat room. Wait, is hugs free? I might need to make hugs cost because Ja Warrior just got. You broke, bro. I told you got robbed. Pork Chop raided your account, man. I told you you gotta watch out. You gotta watch out when Pork Chop's in the room. That's who I hit up earlier, man. Anytime I go bang, 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 Pork Chop, no. He just start hacking away, and all your points just be like. Josh, man, Pork Chop hits your account up, bro. He spent all your money on jelly beans. He bought jelly beans and sour gummies and what's them chips all the kids like, them flaming hot Cheetos and shit. He bought all that. Slurpees and big bites and hot dogs and hamburgers and pizzas. You got hit up, bro. Damn, you ranked number 427 now. Whoa, Chico sticks. Oh my gosh, that's fucked up, man. Pork Chop, get that guy his money back, man. That's messed up, Ja. Ja, that's messed up, bro. He said he probably did. Pork Chop's like, no. Chico sticks. Now they go your little points back, man. But don't do no more bragging, bro. You whip my ass. You can't. I told you not to tell nobody, cause I'll rob you. Then I'll tell everybody I robbed you, so they can see. Josh like, you can keep it. Oh, you want me to get back to Pork Chop? I get back to Pork Chop. Pork Chop said I want it. You want me to take it? You want me to get the Pork Chop, Josh? Party's like, wait a minute, let me check my shit, make sure ain't nobody robbed me. You've been robbed. Nah, for real. Let's do this giveaway real quick. I'm just gonna do it in the chat room. Let me see, giveaway. Nightbot will tell y'all what's popping. If you want to get in the giveaway, TSG 5-pack, boom, 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 of your choice. Everyone can get in. It's gonna cost $1,000 for a ticket or a entry. The maximum number of times that you can enter is, let How many people in here? 18. So I'm gonna say you can enter 18 times, not 180. 18 times. So each ticket is 1,000 credits. Okay, you can enter 18 times. So if you enter 18 times, that's 18,000 credits. They will be deducted from your credit account. Okay? Okay. There's going to be a 5-minute time on the timer. That way everybody gets their entries in. Can I clear this? Reset. No, I don't. That's old. Are you sure? Yes, sure. Boom. So, if you want in the chat room, follow the instructions. Beware of the instructions, because I'm not going to reopen the contest once it ends. You got 5 minutes from now to enter the giveaway. Once again, if you want to enter, follow directions. Follow the directions in the chat room. Oh man, what happened? Did I just get booted off or something? Did I just get booted off? What is mine? Did I minimize that? Maybe I did. Oh yes, I was working on my Shogun's song ting over there events. Go back over here. Shogun. I need to add freak. I need to look for Shogun. Search. Man, get the heck out of here. He's in the damn chat room. 420. Oh, I need to go back up here into the thing. Where's Shogun at? How does thy spell thy name? Shogun. Don't tell me how I got that. SHAOGO. What? Go back. Events. Shogun 420. It's like 00420 or something. There you go. There you go, Shogun. So when you come in here, I need to pick this file. Come on, man. I really should edit that because it's kind of long. Let's go. It's taking forever. I hope everybody's got their entry in. I really should edit this. Excuse me, because it's super long. I'm gonna have to edit it. Let's see. Where's my desktop at, man? Desktop. YouTube. In here somewhere. That's another one. Boom.
One for the money, two for the green. Military minded, so get on my games clean. I'm looking for the better days. Niggas ain't got shit to say. Mother body hit the praise, gotta look the other way.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that. I gotta make that kind of shorter. So it's set, but I need to remind myself to make that shorter. Once again, oh, can I go back to the bottom? To the bottom. Sam has entered the giveaway. I won in 18. Yes. I points laughing out loud, Sam. I won in 18,000. That's a lot of lots. A lot of lots. Wait a minute. Did you just play again? What are you playing on? Did Shogun leave and come back? Did you leave and come back, Shogun? Oh, maybe that's the first time that you... Oh, okay, never mind, buddy. I need to edit that, though. Because it didn't say anything when you came in here. Edit. Is that the illest? It's you found it. Ooh. Oh, I should probably spell this the way you have it. SHOGUN 00420, I think. Damn, why don't I got all that on caps? I can't see the chat room. If you guys are typing to me or at me, I think that's it. Submit. Maybe I wrote that wrong. Did I write that wrong? I probably wrote that wrong. Let's go back and edit one more time. 00420, right? 00420. Yep. Cool. So let's see what's going on with this giveaway over here. Bam. So I see Pork Chop has entered, as well as Farrah, Josh Warrior, Nate Germ, Treetops. Treetops ain't even said, hey, nobody just come in here, enter giveaway and shit. What's wrong with you, Treetops? I'm just playing Dale. Queen Die, Shogun. All entered. Queen Die entered a meager 5 times. Shogun says, I got 1800. Dale entered twice. He's like, I got $2. Nate Germ says, $1. $1. Holla, 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 holla. Treetops got 18. Josh Warrior 18. Bearcast Love 18. And Samaka Pork Chop Fried Rice, aka the number 2 on the Chinese value menu. All got their entries in. Let me go back over here and not commands. Entries have stopped. If you did not get your entry in, sucks to be you. I'm just playing. Just missed out. You gotta wait till next time. I forgot what I was gonna say. Hi, my name is Todd. My name is Todd. What time is it? I gotta be at work at 6. I gotta be at work at 6. Okay, I forgot what I was gonna do. Oh yes, okay, so I'll show you guys my screen over here. Let me see. I don't want you guys to think I am image. No, not image. Chatland, Hangouts called. No Chatland. Right here. Chatland. Properties. That thing is huge. Yes, right there. Bam. So I'm gonna cut this on. Pew pew pew. I don't even know what that did. Treetops. Alright. I see you out there, man. Appreciate it. And the treetops. Treetops. You know I just fuck with you, right, though. You probably say, hey, and I didn't even see it because the chat room's just been going off. And I be in my own little world when I be talking to y'all sometimes. So, yeah, no. Anyways, thank you very much, Treetops. Scar and gentlemen, no matter what Chop says about you. I ain't gonna tell you what he be saying, but he be saying stuff. He be saying stuff. I'm just playing. Pork Chop don't be talking about you. Pork Chop don't talk about nobody. Anyways, this is what you guys see in the chat. Oh my gosh, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. So, shout out to those that entered. Let me get over here and show you guys the giveaway. These are the people that entered the giveaway. Now, what I'm gonna do, since I have to go to the bathroom, is I'm gonna allow entries again for anybody that came in. Let me see this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 20 people in the chat room, as you guys can hopefully see up here. 8 people entered. It would be great to have 20 people enter. It would be freaking lovely. You guys don't want no beans? Who doesn't want beans, man? Frijoles. Or maybe everybody's just out of the international countries or something. I don't know. I gotta go to the bathroom because I got a little boy bladder and I don't want to bust. So I'm gonna allow entries while I'm gone real quick. I will be back I don't know if it's going to do another 5 minutes. Those that have already entered, you don't have to re-enter. But if you didn't get an entry in and you want to have a chance to win you a good old 5-pack of some Secret Garden souvenirs, get your entry in. I've got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back, guys. Don't go nowhere. Don't go nowhere, guys. Soapy hands. My hands are wet. Damn it. Can I pull some interest back? I forgot child support. You slow, bruh. Something wrong with you. Really slow. Mr. J Rock, please don't enter. I'm trying to win here. Mr. J Rock banned from giveaways for the rest of the year. I don't even think Mr. J Rock ain't even in here. Let me see Mr. J Rock. Oh, he is. What up, man? Oh, he's smashing. Mr. J Rock, appreciate you coming through, man. You just stoned. Very crazy though. She said, please don't enter. Please don't enter. So let's get over here to let's say where I want to go, but escape. Oh yeah, did I tell you guys you can bail out of jail now? When you get locked up at Alcatraz, boom, you can bail out of jail. It only costs 10,000 credits. When you escape from jail, it now costs 1 million credits. So watch your, 100,000 credits. So watch your escaping, unless you just feel like showing off in the chat room. Anyways, let's get back over here to this giveaway. Where's the giveaway thing at? Giveaway thing right there. Bam. So we got Queen Dot, Farrah, John Word, Nate Jern, Treetops, Dale. Did I say Queen Dot already? Shogun, Smack Pork Chop. Close giveaway. We're gonna pick a winner. Winner chicken dinner is pick a winner. Did I pick a winner? Does that say Josh Warrior up there? Let me go up there and see. Console. What did it say? Jaws Warrior. You have won. Please email. You ain't gotta email me, bro. Subscribe to channel. Why did it say that right there? Subscribe to channel and think things. That's crazy. What time says rigged? Okay, pork chop. Yes, you got me, bro. I'm a computer genius, and I rigged the game. Maybe the computer just felt like he needed to win because he got robbed early. Said foul. Yellow card. Yes. Everybody says congratulations, Jaws Warrior. This lady right here says, I never win. Girl, stop. Tell about you never win. Why your name in my book right here? 9-pound hammer. You won some 9-pound hammer? I just ain't sent it out yet. Smarty pants. Smarty pants. A couple of these packets, people ain't got in touch with me. 313 Grower. Won a 5-pack of some Soul Genetics. I ain't heard from him. Chris Water won some OG Guapberry F2s. I ain't heard from him. Pork Chop won some Durban Poison crossed with Blueberry Headband. I ain't sent that out. Koga won some Hawaiian Diamond. I ain't sent that out yet. Simple Seed won some Secret Garden Genetics that probably go out here soon, I think, as well. Does that say ginger? Ginger? I think that says ginger. Ginger snaps. Miss J Rock got his light already. Go it to smoke it. Won some number 8s. I ain't sent that out yet because I don't know if he's still at Pac's house or what. I don't know. I need to hit him up and see what's going on. Anyways, yes, and then Jaws Warrior won today. So let me write your name down before I forget, because my name is Todd. Jaws Warrior, I think I have your address unless you have moved recently. I could be wrong. You might want to email it to me. My email address was in the chat room up there. Someone won and passed it to me. I'm joking. I never won. Oh my gosh. Yes, you did. You won something in the last package. You're so crazy, girl. What you win? How you don't know what you won? Oh, he didn't know he won? What you doing over there gardening? He ain't even watching. He was just like, man, let me enter. He bought the lotto ticket and left like I'm dipping. NASCAR in the building. What up, man? Josh Warrior says same Addy. For sure, man. I got your name down here. Your name down here. NASCAR, what you got in the garden, man? I know you always got something fresh in the garden over there. What you working on, bro? I'm not that high, Farrah says. How high would that high be? I don't know how that high. What? How high is that high? I'm lost. How high is that high? I'm not that high. This is Sparkzalot. Queen die. Dang, how you get that much? Queen die balling. How you get that many points? Well, I guess I gave everybody 2 million today and another million. Damn, you got some points. I stay lost because my name is Todd. I told you that already. Anyways, we came, we saw, we did. Super shout out to Queen Di. Super shout out to proudly represent the Sparks. He's out there. You cool. Pork chop was so crazy, but I don't even know if that was you that got a shirt or not. But if that was you, super shout out to you. I don't know who that other person was because they put some old funny name in it. Pork chop said he used Nate's credit card to buy a shirt. I believe him because he's a hacker. He a member of Anonymous. Smack a pork chop fried rice. So if you subscribe to Smack a pork chop fried rice, you better stay on this good side, because if you ever tick them off, boy, check your bank account in the morning. I'm just playing. Pork chop is not a member of Anonymous, but he is a hacker. Wait a minute, I just got another. Wait, I got the other shirt. Queen Guy says. Let me go back and see. Pork chop. Why you playing, bro? You play too much. Pork chop, fried rice. Let's go back and see. It didn't tell me who it was. It just said that. Let me go over here and see. Come on, slow computer. I want to get this right because I need to, I can't be shouting out the wrong damn pork chop people. People pork chop. Pork chop people. What are pork chop people? I don't even know what pork chop people is. Pork chop people is me being sleepy as hell because I've been up since 4:30 this morning and I worked a 10-hour day and I got to be back at work at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm hungry. And my coffee's about gone. It was Benny Loco. What? Benny Loco. Where's she at? She ain't even in here, man. I'm blaming stuff on people that didn't do stuffs and stuffs. Let's go down here. One more again. Shout out to Treetop. Treetops. All right. He smacked the channel with $5 there. I appreciate that, man. All donations as of now are going towards a new computer for the show. So slowly but surely, we are going to get a computer together so the show can run smoothly. I'm gonna wear your shirt when I go to the Goodwill. That's messed up. You might find one of my shirts in the Goodwill. Oh my gosh. I wonder if I put one of my shirts in the Goodwill, like went and donated it, if I'd ever see somebody wearing it on the streets. That'd be some weird shit. Just go, because there's a Savers right across the street from me, and that's where I take most of my old clothes, stuff I can't fit no more, stuff that my daughter grows out of or whatever. I'll go drop it off over there. And I wonder if I put one of my shirts in there, a Sparkzalot or a Secret Garden shirt in there, if I'll ever see it again. That's crazy. Work been kicking my butt, but I ain't tripping because it's finna get slow, so I need to stack this little paper up right quick. And yeah, when it get hot out here, it get kind of slow. Maybe I'll stay busy though. I don't know. This year's been pretty good so far, so we'll see. But yeah, that's why y'all ain't been seeing a lot of me. That's why the videos been coming out late. Instead of 6:30, they've been coming out a little later. I'm trying to get them out on the morning of the day I said I was gonna get my videos out. Monday, Sparkzalot's channel. Wednesday, the Secret Garden channel. Gonna put a video out. And Fridays, Elevated Edibles. So that's 3 guaranteed videos that I'm trying to push out every week and try to get them done by 6:30 in the morning for you guys. So I'm trying. But thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Treetops. And let me go over here and see. I can't see. All it says is something about a shirt. Let me see, go back over here. See, it don't even want to show me who purchased the shirt. I don't see any of that information. Like, when you guys make merchandise purchases, all that stuff is drop shipped. So I don't see none of your informations. The company sees that, sends it to you. Bam. I don't have to deal with none of that. So it's not showing me. The only thing it shows me is whatever you guys type as a message when you purchase the merchandise. So, Queen, if that was you that made that purchase, super shout out to you. Pinky finger you, pork chop. If you're lying to me, bro. No, I think you're lying. Queen Die, thank you. Thank you. It's highly appreciated. It won't show me. It just says, it says, send me a shirt. Bought one Sparkzalot basic tee. And it says, thank you. The only reason why I know that Jacob bought the first one is because it says 22 GP. I know that's his stuff. That's his product. Unless somebody else put his name in there. I don't even know. But if you bought a shirt today, super shout out to you. I love you guys. I gotta get out of here because I'm hungry. Spend a little bit of time with my daughter before I doze off in a never sleepy land. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Super shout out one more again, the Queen died. Congratulations, Jaw Warrior, on your win. Shout out to Treetops again. Thank you for your donation. Y'all be good out there. I got to go. As always, light up, toke up, blaze up, smoke up. If you like your concentrates, get your dab on. If you like your edibles, get your snack on. Till we meet again, guys. Once again, have a wonderful week. And if you want some of what I'm smoking on, I seen that shit a whole bunch of times in the chat room. OG guava berries, F2. It's fucking delicious. I think it is anyway. Get some. Try it out for yourself. Or not. Stay curious. Y'all be good, bro. I gotta go. I got to go. Rex's people, Nate, Jern, Pork Chop, Treetops, Farrah. Super shout out to Farrah. Shout out to the ladies.